In a divided government where Republicans control only the House of Representatives, Democrats control the Senate and the White House, we have very few opportunities to leverage legislation, make real progress on conservative policy goals. Hey everybody, I hope that you're all doing well. I'm here with you with an update on what's happening in Congress this week, what's happening in Washington, D.C. We've got plenty to discuss from Israel to Afghanistan, government funding. Let's get started on all of it. First up, in the House Foreign Affairs Committee, we held 2 hearings on Afghanistan. Now, it's been more than 2 years since the world watched in horror as desperate Afghans threw their babies over the walls at HKIA Airport, clung to the wings of transport planes. But the repercussions of that disaster, they are still being felt to this day, especially when it comes to foreign policy. And that's why the Foreign Affairs Committee held a hearing with Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, or what's known in acronym as CGAR, John Sopko. Now, Mr. Sopko and his team are tasked with rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse when it comes to aid to Afghanistan. Basically, they're the bean counters, they're the auditors, and there's a lot, to put it mildly. Not only did his testimony highlight the complete and total lack of a plan for your tax dollars that are being sent to Kabul, in all likelihood, the majority of those dollars are being funneled straight to the Taliban, a terrorist entity. On a board in my office, I have a question written in all caps. Does our foreign aid support America's goals in each country? In other words, can we make sure that your tax dollars are not working against our own self-interest? If we're sending cash payments straight to the Taliban, I can confidently say that that is not working in America's best interest. And as a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, that's the lens through which I look at everything. Is this an appropriate use of your tax dollars? And most of it isn't. As a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I think it's important that every single dollar that is authorized supports a clear policy objective for the United States of America, the betterment of the United States of America and our people. That's what I'll continue to push for. That's what I have pushed for. Also this week, subcommittee that I chair, Oversight and Accountability on the Foreign Affairs Committee, held its own hearing on Afghanistan, so the second Afghanistan hearing. This hearing specifically examined President Biden's decision to publicly announce an unconditional withdrawal of all forces on April 14, 2021. That is to say, that's the date that he was making his announcement. And on that date, he announced that Americans would be out of Afghanistan on September 11, 2021. He chose 9/11 as his withdrawal date. Now, there are countless lessons that have to be learned from the Afghanistan withdrawal. But one of the biggest is the clear disadvantage our troops were at by publicly telegraphing our military strategy and our plan and the exact date that he said we had to be out by. From having to reassign resources from combating terrorists at the height of the fighting season. Why? Because he didn't choose to withdraw in the winter months. He chose to withdraw in the summer months, to demoralizing our Afghan partners. The April 14 announcement is where it all went wrong, and our troops were put at risk as a result. And we saw what happened. We have 13 more Gold Star families as a result. Now, why does all of this matter? Because in the past month, there have been more than 4 dozen attacks on military outposts throughout the Middle East. When President Biden makes public announcements that project weakness, such as when he says Israel needs to obey the laws of war, when we know they are obeying the laws of war, but he's saying it as some kind of handout to Israel's enemies, he undermines our allies and our troops. He makes them think that they're not following the laws of war, and somehow there's some excuse for what happened on October 7th. He has to stop this. That is a lesson that he can learn and execute on immediately. I don't think he's going to learn it, but it's something that he should learn. Now, finally, government funding. As we discussed last week, the stopgap measure that was passed in September expired on Friday, November 17th. That stopgap measure was intended to give Congress more time to work through the 12 individual appropriations bills, as was promised, but unfortunately the mark was missed. It didn't get through all of them. It's still not through all of them because some of them just simply won't get a passing vote in the House. This new extension plan takes a laddered approach. The funding for some government agencies, the Department of Veterans Affairs, USDA, Transportation, Housing, Urban Development, the Department of Defense, those are all going to expire on January 19th. The rest will expire on February 2nd. I voted no. Here's why I voted no. In a divided government where Republicans control only the House of Representatives, Democrats control the Senate and the White House, we have very few opportunities to leverage legislation, make real progress on conservative policy goals. And when I say that, it means that they actually go through, the bills actually go through the Senate and go across the president's desk and get signed into law. Not they just go through the House of Representatives and they sit somewhere and never actually become law. The spending bills are the best place to do that, but this laddered approach just continued the spending levels that were enacted under Nancy Pelosi last year with nothing in exchange. As an example, in September, I voted for a different continuing resolution that actually made some cuts to certain programs. And most importantly, it included H.R. 2, the Republicans' plan to secure the border. So that was an example of not voting for Nancy Pelosi's liberal spending levels. The spending levels still needed to be cut more, but it was actually a cut of spending levels, and it included H.R. 2, the Republicans' border security plan, which, unless it's tied to something like a spending bill, is not going to have the chance of actually making it across the president's desk. That's why sometimes those things need to be tied together. Ultimately, the legislation did pass, even though I did not vote for it, and Congress once again has an extension to finally finish the individual spending bills. Now, when we return after Thanksgiving, that will be the focus. I look forward to working to make sure that every dollar of we the people's money, your money, the money you wake up early, go to work for, a teacher, a law enforcement officer, fireman, plumbing, electrical, builder, whatever it is that you do, I look forward to making sure that there's less taken out of your pocket and that anything that comes out of your pocket is used responsibly, or better yet, not used at all and sent back to you. On that note, I hope that you all have a great weekend. I hope that you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving, amazing time with your family. I'm incredibly grateful, as we're talking about Thanksgiving, to have the chance to serve you every single day. It is an honor to serve you, and I thank you for giving me that opportunity to serve you. In that, you all take care. Hey everyone, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, please click like and subscribe. I will be back on YouTube with more exclusive content, so stay tuned.